Good afternoon, everybody. Can anyone hear my voice and see my screen? Yeah, Darcy, you can use it in Canada, sure. Let's turn this other stuff off. All right, let's see if you can see me here at home. Hello! I have my new glasses today, complete with reflective coatings. And see how long it takes me to butter these up. These are my reading glasses. As the words get blurrier and blurrier, it tends to happen the older I get. So I shouldn't have any problems telling you what the prices are when we look at screens today. How are you? How is everybody? It's really cool having everybody here today. Yeah, it's got the blue blocker for sure. I picked them up today from iLab. We are not sponsored by iLab, but before that, I was using, with great success, a pair of blue blockers from a company called Gunnar, G-U-N-N-A-R. And if you've ever had eye strain looking at the computer, I actually recommend them a lot. Gunnar blue light filters for monitor usage. So yeah, let me check and make sure I've got the right microphone connected here. Yep, I should be good to go. Can everyone hear okay? Jerry says he's having a little bit of trouble hearing everybody. And good. All right, we'll turn this camera off so you won't have to endure. Jacob is doing really well. He's on a sabbatical right now. Michael, for those of you that don't know, Jacob is one of our pro staffers. He's a customer who uses our software. And he wanted me to share something. He said you guys would kind of celebrate with him. He qualified for Apex's $250,000 account. Can you guys see that graph on the screen right there? He said that it is their second, there's only one account size larger than this one. I'm not sure which one that is. And he was super proud of that. So he was working. He said that you had to hit a $15,000 profit target with a trailing drawdown of $6,500. He said, doing well, just qualified for the second largest Apex account, $250K. So yeah, I'm filling in for him while he gets that squared away and wrapped up. And he'll either be back next week or the week after that and bring you up to speed on his progress with the tool. But just goes to kind of show that these signals are based entirely on predictive signals. Hang on one second here, guys. Dave, make you an organizer. And you should be good to go. See everybody's questions too. Yeah, so he's doing really well. Thank you for asking about that. And thank many of you for sending us your testimonials and your results. It really is encouraging when we hear back from you, and we know that our efforts are not in vain. We like to hear back when you're helping us, when we've helped you rather, We like to hear back from you when you've accomplished something like that. So keep those testimonials coming. For those of you who don't know who I am the founder of the company. Over 13 years ago, my best friend and I, who's my partner in all this, decided that we were tired of getting ripped off by trading institutions and banks and watching our stops get hit and the targets that we had get hit eventually without us. We theorized that lagging indicators and the gurus of old weren't going to cut it anymore. And so techno guys that we applied all our engineering know-how to trading. And what you'll see here today is the net result of 13 years and over 3,000 customers worth of R&D, a new, completely, I think, forward-looking, cutting-edge way of analyzing and trading markets based on predictive future times and directions. Now, we've done that in a pretty crazy way. We give signals in advance based on times where banks are pushing prices up and down in futures, forex, equities, and cryptocurrencies now. So it's completely different from the way people are used to trading, waiting for signals minute by minute, bar by bar, second by second, signals that repaint, disappear, reappear, appear 5 bars later. These times are known up to a week in advance. They never change, they never disappear, they never reappear, they never appear late. The times exist only because there are movements historically where banks are pushing prices higher and lower. And so we've done something, I think, pretty unique over the last 10 years. We've given out the times and directions in advance. 2 days before every webinar, we sit back and we send out an email that has a link to a page on our site that only prospects, people who are interested in learning more, can see. And if you're part of that evaluation process today, you'll recognize this page right here. So this page is telling us, based on outputs from the software that customers are using, what times and directions to expect movements to occur, possibly in the S&P, oil futures, gold futures, DAX, euro currency futures, Dow, NASDAQ, euro dollar, pound dollar, and Ethereum. Not to say this doesn't work on larger time frames if you're trading options on markets like Apple or Tesla, Nvidia, SPY, Qs. Same process applies, and I'll show some longer term examples in a moment. But for now, let's take a look at one of the most volatile markets that we can analyze, the oil futures, and talk a little bit about what the software was warning us to watch for in the future. So here on my chart, you'll see an output from the TachEon Warp indicator, our flagship product, which comprises approximately 98% of our sales each year. And this output was telling us, and those of you that were following along, to watch for times in the future where prices were likely to go down and likely to go up. So all of these signals here that were published to the website since Tuesday were warning us for movements 2 days later on Thursday. And those movements were warning us for possible selling pressure in the future. So the raw data was warning us about possible selling moves in the future at these times, which were Eastern time on my computer. Conversely, all the times on the bottom of the screen were times that the software had uncovered behavior patterns, times that for one reason or another, prices were moving with regularity higher lately. So imagine, for example, if oil went up every day at 10:05. It went up between 10:05 and 10:15 every day for the last 2 weeks. That would be a pretty obvious pattern that any human would keep track of after a while. Well, it's like that, but more subtle. Not quite 100% of the time, but enough of the time where a program dedicated to look for those time patterns can find it. So when you see these times on my screen, they're only there because that's what's happening lately. If it wasn't happening lately, those times wouldn't appear on my screen. And as we mentioned earlier, it's those times that have allowed people like our pro staffer Jacob to take the signals and trade them forward into the future. So what happens when we arrive at those times 2 days later? Well, I have all of the outputs from all of the markets that we were watching, and I just want to compare a few things together here with you and show you some pretty banana stuff. So right here, if I take the output that everyone had access to, I want to compare some things so you can see what's happened since they were published. So for example, if I get my drawing tool here, you'll notice that there's a signal since Tuesday at 9:09. These are the signals today at 9:09. And then you'll see 9:57, 9:57, 11:36, 11:36, and so on. All of the times on the chart for today are coming from times that were published since Tuesday. Does everyone understand that? And all of the times on the bottom of the chart are the times that I sent out to customers for evaluation on Tuesday for today. So there's no smoke or mirrors here. There's no smoke, there are no mirrors, there's no deception. It's just whatever we were expecting 2 days later. Now, I can't have faked anything that you'll see happen on my screen. All we've had were the selling pressure times and the buying pressure times 2 days in advance. I can't have made the market go higher or lower at those times. I can't have influenced what the price of oil would do since Tuesday. And so it's a curious experiment each week when we come back and see what physically happened at those times. Now, without maybe influencing your decision, what I'd like to propose is that I put an arrow at the times where the market did what I expected it to do. So for example, Ricky, would you agree that at 11:36, the time we've been waiting for since Tuesday for selling pressure to occur, that the price actually retraced from its high and went down? Would you guys grant me that leeway? Yeah. And similarly, we could say a very similar thing about the move at 1:36. We could say the same thing, in fact, about the counter moves. The push up at 12:06 and then the push up at 2:51. There's even a very small retracement down at 3:36 here towards the close. There's a similar large move down from 9:57. In fact, if we measure with our ruler tool, we'll see from the close of that candle until 10:51, oil moves down $1,500 per contract on the 3-minute time frame. So there's a very large drop at the time we've been waiting since Tuesday for, and you can see the maximum favorable excursion took us to 83.20, and the market finishes its move by the end of the time window at 83.56. We can similarly track other movements and say that the 8:15 move down occurred, the 7:57 move up occurred, and then the move from 848 until 909 was also something we were expecting. So again, from 848 until 909, since Tuesday, we've been waiting for a possible repetition of that move right there. And then when we get from 848 until 909, just after oil opens, we can see that prices move higher. The only one that seems to have disappointed us is the move at 948, where it just completely falls down and apart. Now I have a question, and it's a question that's plagued me for, in all honesty, right? Let's keep this webinar as real as possible. The world is not what I thought it was in many ways, shapes, and forms. Whether it's economically, politically, religiously, I ended up at 51 years of age having tremendously more questions than answers. And I started out, like many of you, optimistic and open-minded, believing the better of people and large abstract concepts. I was fairly optimistic, glass half empty kind of guy. But this experiment that we've all taken part of here this week leaves me with some troubling questions. I've been called every name in the book for the last 13 years on every available forum. I talk about it too much. A lot of you chide me after the webinar, say not to focus on it. And it's not something that I get hung up on. But I say it as part of this process, and we're going to look at even more examples in a moment. When I first started trading, I thought everything I had between my left ear and my right ear was going to propel me into profitability. If I only worked hard, applied myself, got the best tools, and surrounded myself with great people, I would have every possibility of profit and rewards in markets. And what this universe shows me is that they had a plan for the last 2 days. Regardless of what was happening in the world, which rocket was falling on which country, which oil field was on fire, which oil tanker was being hijacked, they were going to sell at 909, 957, 1136, and 136, and 336, no matter what. And they were going to drive prices higher at 848 and 757 and 1051 and 1206 and 251, no matter what. The unemployment reports didn't affect this. The consumer confidence reports didn't affect this. It just happened. It didn't care if I had a super zero lag indicator or if I was following an educated, sophisticated guru and paying him thousands of dollars a month. The market didn't care. It had a plan, no matter what. And many of times, those plans involved something called stop runs. So for example, if you'll indulge me just one more moment before we look at a different market, I want you to see that the low, the double bottom, was at 83.17, right here, 83.17. And when we arrived at 1051, the market was supposed to have gone up. Well, Vic, not until they ran the stop right here. Not until they ran the stop on this candle right here. And everyone saw that low get broken, and they sold it, and they sold it, and they sold it, and they sold it,
and then the banks decided to take it back up. And now, Vic, imagine my surprise when they came back and it was time to buy again at 12:06. We knew that time was coming. And guess what? They came back and they tripped out that stop. Every time we arrive at these buying times, they're tripping out everyone's stops before they run it in the other direction. And right when people think that oil is going to go back to $100 a barrel, they get up here, first try, second try, third try, and everyone is losing their account right here. And then at 9:57, it drops down over 150 ticks. This is a market of manipulation. You are being manipulated and pushed and pulled. Your accounts are like playthings for these people. We can take a look at other markets like Ethereum. Ethereum's in the news again after all of its foibles and shortcomings, and they seem to have gotten their case together. And if you look really quickly, I won't draw arrows on the screen, but as we go back, you'll see that the signals that we were expecting things to happen are producing movements where things are actually happening. Ethereum is as random as oil futures were. These were times that I gave everyone 2 days ago. And when we come back and study what actually happened at the times in Ethereum that we've been waiting 2 days for, you can see 1225. You can see 1030. You can see 235 and 510 and 635. 24/7 these markets are trading. And more often than not, when we study what's happening at these movements, there's manipulation occurring, even on a cryptocurrency that you've had the times for 2 days now. Well, who's manipulating cryptocurrency? Who's manipulating that stuff? I thought that market was fair. I thought it's just teenagers and people with servers that are mining Bitcoin and crypto all over the world. Well, if that were the case, I couldn't have given you the times for Ethereum 2 days ago. What we were expecting to happen is actually playing out because the game isn't fair. Because you have to know in advance, you have to study the people who are cheating, and you have to cheat when they cheat. This is the world when we live in. The rules have changed. You can't trade 38% pullbacks with the golden ratio anymore. That's how we got started. We were going to get rich with the 38% retracement, Richard. Just wait for a 38% pullback and then get in. We're going to be millionaires. Woohoo! No. Who's manipulating? Ready? JP Morgan, precious metals. Former JP Morgan traders convicted of fraud, price manipulation, and spoofing in a multi-year market manipulation scheme regarding precious metal futures. Huh. They get caught. They're getting caught all the time. JP Morgan is the financier of the world. At one point, the original JP Morgan was the largest lender in the United States, basically funding the entire United States government. Well, they're manipulating Ethereum. They're manipulating oil. They're still manipulating gold. These are the gold price movements from today. And if we come back and look at the Federal Reserve prices yesterday, this is the FOMC statement from yesterday. How many movements do you count at the Fed statement that we knew about in advance? Let's count them up, shall we? 150 was the time we were waiting for gold prices to go down. 1130 was the price we were waiting for it to go up. 1055 before that, down. And then the one fail is right here at 315, right before the close. There's a small push at the double top, but it fails. And now look, right after the close from 640 all the way down into the low. Is JP Morgan still manipulating the price of precious metal futures? Well, all we have to do is go back and look and see what percentage of these dots are actually producing moves in the directions that we're expecting. It sure seems like more than half. It seems like 60 to 70% of the time that JP Morgan still has its fingers on the scale. It's still pushing prices higher and lower. And they'll never get caught. They'll never go to jail. It'll never stop. You have about as much right to expect to be profitable as you do to walk into a casino and play at the table. The odds are just as good. 90% of traders still lose 90% of their accounts in the first 90 days. So what do we do differently? Well, to prove to you this is working, I give out the times on Tuesday, for Wednesday, and then for Thursday. And then on Thursday, we actually apply a trading system to see how did the markets do. So right now we're dealing with raw information, raw signals, blue, white, blue, white, blue, white. It's raw. Where's the stop? Where's the target? What do we do with it? So the first group of traders that I want to talk to are the confirmation traders. So right now, if you have an existing system, you might be looking for something. When do I trade my existing signals? When's the best time of trade to take my MACD crossover? When's the best time of day to use my Renko bar trend line break? When's the best time of day to look at my divergence strategy? So some of you are here today are saying, can I apply this to my existing system? And the answer is yes. And when you do that, two things have borne out over time. The first piece of feedback is customers report my stops are tighter. Why are people's stops tighter? Because the trade is either going to work now or it's not. It's going to work in the next few minutes or it's not. You don't have to let it hit your stop. It's supposed to go up now. It's 5 minutes later, it's still not going up. It's a little bit down. I'm going to get out and wait for the next time in 12 minutes. The second thing that customers who use the tool for confirmation report are larger targets. They know how long the move is expected to last. So those of you that have an existing system or you're trading with a guru or a mentor and you get in a signal and you're not sure how long to stay in it, I'll call you the tier 1 customers. This will help you stay in moves longer because you have a window of time. Now, some of you don't have an existing system. You're looking for something to start with. We teach a basic setup. One of the setups is called a signal with trend, where we look for signals in the direction of the moving average. Jacob trades, I believe, a very similar setup with his warp signals when he's qualifying for his Apex prop accounts. So when we have a buy signal in the direction of the trend, we enter at the close of the candle and hold it till the next signal. Our stop is 1.5 average true range values away from the low of that candle. If that signal occurs below the moving average and it crosses over eventually, we put our stop below the candle that closed above the moving average, enter at its close, and hold it till the next signal. Okay? Then we have a signal that's known as a puncture trade. With a puncture trade, we're watching for failures of sell dots in the direction of an uptrend. We're watching for failures of buy dots in the direction of a downtrend. So in this example, if the market continues to go higher at 9:30, our stop is way up here. Well, if it goes through that stop, it means the people who were normally selling at this time have decided they're not going to do that today. And so when it breaks through that stop, we enter at the close of that candle with our stop just below the puncture candle that punctures or breaks through that stop level. And then we hold it until the next time, in this case, 9:48. So a puncture is a failure with trend, and a signal with trend is simply that, a trade in the direction of the trend. Now, we can apply that edge to any one of the markets that we had the times published in advance for. All right, and there's a couple that some of you have asked about. So if you looked at gold in this example, can you guys see, and ladies, can you see that at 325, for example, I would enter at the close of this candle and I would hold it until that signal. My stop would be just underneath that white line. At 7:05, my entry would be at the close of that candle and I would hold it until 8:35. My next signal would be at 8:05 and I would hold it until looks like 11:10. So 9:05, no, 10:05 to 11:10. And then I would enter at midnight and I would get stopped out right here. At midnight in 30 minutes, I would enter south short and exit by 1:05. I would exit short again at 1:50 and exit by 2:05. And so when you use trend signals, you're filtering out half of the times, right? You're filtering out half of these times. So the difference between signals and a setup are the rules that we can apply to seek profit, right? So if we look at the E-mini S&P on a 3-minute chart today, and I take the rules that I've taught you in the videos and in the webinars, and we apply a trading system to it, those signals today resulted in a hypothetical gain of $23 per contract starting 7:20 this morning. $23 per contract is over $1,000 per contract full and $100 per contract micro lot on a 3-minute E-mini S&P. If we go back and we look at the NASDAQ on the 1 minute, I actually did the math on it. The first thing, Ricky, I want to show you, these are the signals from this afternoon, right? So first things first, compare what we were expecting to see with what happened 2 days later. Let me pull that page up for you real quick. And this is where things get a little weird. I still get freaked out by this. Does anyone else get freaked out by this when they see it? Yeah, exactly. Let me pull this up. 345, yep. So if you look at these times, 333, 345, 329, 324, 305, 333, 345, 329, 305. Ricky, can you see what happened at those times? For example, right before the close, do you see what happened at the 345 signal? How they retraced into it and then it shot off like a rocket? That's kind of weird, right? So when you apply that signal with trend, you enter at 220 and you exit by 226 for a $23 move. You enter at 236 and you exit by 247 for $1. The candle closes above the moving average. Our stop goes right below that candle and we exit by 255. The candle punctures the blue line right here. Our stop goes right below the puncture candle and we exit by 305. We get to 305 and we enter and we hold it until 324 for a $6 gain. It actually went much higher than that before the close. That went a total of $44 and it gave back 38 by the time we closed. We get to 329, the most volatile time of the day. We enter at the close of that candle and we exit by 333. And this last signal would have hit my break even. You can see that we got a total of $50 or $1,000 per contract in the green, which is break even for me. I get even at $500. And so that one, if you didn't lock any profit in, you would have basically finished with 1 to 4 ticks on that trade. And then the signal here at 409 is a signal in the direction of the trend that we've known about since Tuesday. And right now it's in profit about $260 per contract after the close. Any questions about this? Because for me, it's unsettling in a world as chaotic as the one that we live in, where the 24-hour news cycle keeps us constantly off balance. We're at war with this country, that country, it's North Korea, it's China, it's Taiwan, it's pirates in the Suez, it's something in Iran, and there's a drone, and there's a tanker, and there's this guy, and nuclear weapons are on the table, off the table, Ukraine, Javelin missiles, Raytheon, Boeing, NASA, SpaceX. Oh, it's exhausting. Luke, all of the entries and exits are based on the close of the signal candles. So at the close of each of those times, 3, 2, 1 entry, 3, 2, 1 exit. That's not necessarily the best way, but it's the way that we've started teaching. Yeah. So in this example, Rohit, thank you. I'll go over this with you one more time. And thank you for asking questions. It's helpful to me to know if I've explained something. We're using a 120 period moving average. As you'll see here, when it's moving up, it's white. When it's moving down, it's blue. So at 207, the candle has closed below the moving average, or heat, at 11,570, right? Right there. My stop is 1.5 ATR values away from the top of that candle. I'm going to enter at the close of that candle and hold it until 212, the close of the 212 candle. That's a $16 or a $320 move, I think. At 212, it never breaks the dotted line. No, Vic, as you'll see here in a moment, I don't make too many changes. Rohit, at 220, the close of that candle right there is 11,548, it looks like. The stop is 1.5 ATR values away from the high of that candle. So entry, stop. My target is based on the time, which is 226, the close right there. It never punctures the white lines, so there's no puncture trade. At 236, I enter at the close of the candle. The stop is just above the blue line here, and my exit is the next signal at 247 right there. Close of the candle. This is a basic trend entry system. The next candle, Rohit, look, it's below the moving average, below the moving average, below, 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 below. And then on this candle, Rohit, right here, it closes above. When it closes above, my stop goes one tick under the candle that closed above the moving average. A crossover trade. The candle crossed over and closed above. I enter at the close, and I hold until the close of the 255 candle. The 255 candle comes, and lo and behold, we get our first puncture. You'll see right here, that candle goes through the blue line. Hello, Chris Francone. No, the NQ works on all time frames. I trade it because I like the 1 minute time frame the best. It moves fast and I can get a lot of signals in a shorter period of time. I have, as Jacob will attest, a very small attention span. And so, Chris, I want to see the signal start and stop and move quickly. But we can apply the same signals to a 5 minute, a 15 minute. Time behaves like fibs. So, Chris, if I asked you which time frame would a Fibonacci retracement work best on, can you see how that would be similar to saying which time frame would time signals work the best on? Yes, Luke. 1.5 ATR is calculated by Ninja. Yeah. So the time frame doesn't matter. So Rahit, those are where the entries are coming from. And as you guys can see here, Chris, can you see that that's a 1 day chart for the E-mini S&P? Right? These are the signals I've been publishing lately on the Facebook pages for all the groups. So Chris, I would enter on the close of the April 25th signal. And then I would exit by the close of the May 27th candle. I would sell if the market punctured this line right here, right? So day before, there's the high. I would sell on August 20th and get stopped. I would buy on August 4th. This was July 20th. And I would be in that move. The candle doesn't close under the moving average, Chris, until right here. That's a crossover trade. And now I hold it until September 8th. And now, Chris, right here is the crossover trade or the puncture trade. It goes through that white line. My entry is the white line. My stop is here. My entry is here. And now if I want, I can hold it until October 14th. Or if you're more conservative, you can use a 1-to-1 risk reward on the counter trend punctures. Any question about the scale? If we look out, for example, at an equity like Apple, Chris, the signals didn't care that this was Apple on a daily chart. I've been showing this chart for over a year now. And you can see the signals waiting for us in the future, but it behaves the same way as a 1 minute NASDAQ chart, right? The patterns are fractal. They exist in smaller and larger time frames with equal propensity and accuracy. This is a good question, by the way. Good to see you, Chris. Okay, now, here's the really weird thing. As we've grown as a company, some of you, those of you in the second class of traders, right? We're building something for different groups of people. None of you are the same. Well, some of you, I need rules with clearly defined entries and exits, a more semi-automatic system. And then some of you are looking for ways to optimize for a market. So Chris might say, what time frame of the NASDAQ is the most accurate? Hey, Rohit, we have a pro room that meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, traded by an actual customer. It's our pro trading room, and it costs $200 a month, I think, for 12 sessions a month. You can email me or Rachel or Jacob or David even, and we can get you more information about that. So some of you in group 2 are saying, hey, I need to see these entries and exits in real time on the screen. I want to know, I want something to tell me now. Show me the stop, tell me when the upcoming time is. And some of you have said, hey, I want to optimize those settings and test them over time. Well, on our website, you'll see inside of our product line, there's sort of an expansion pack for Warp that I'm going to demonstrate here in a moment, called Aurora. And Aurora is Warp with the entries and exit signals, thanks Vic, on top. Let me show you here real quick what that looks like. So in this example, you'll see on my chart, it's the same signals that we just had, Vic, right? We have our entries, we have our times, and if we pull the chart over to the right, can you see here, Luke, Chris, who's the other guy? Ricky. So here on my ES 3-minute chart, I have the signals and I can see the upcoming times in the future. So this is Warp, but now, Ricky, can you see how I have the red lines and the green lines telling me where the crossovers are, telling me where the signals with trend are? And then Ricky, down here, I can see if it breaks through that white dot, I know where to sell it, where my target is, and where my stop is. Well, that's really cool. So what I've done in this example is I've used that Aurora plugin, and some of you may be interested in this, some of you might not need it. I asked the computer, Ricky, to test 15 minutes worth of signals. Only this time to use a 1 ATR stop and a 1 ATR target. So it's one average true range of profit and one average true range of risk, 1-to-1 risk reward. Only from the first 15 minutes of the session. And what I've done here, Ricky, if you look at the data series, I've loaded a year. I've loaded a year's worth of signals. So now when I reload this, you're going to see on the right-hand side of my chart, Ricky, all those signals that are populating are 1 year's worth of entries and exits using the predictive time signals. Now, while you're waiting for that, I actually put together that equity curve for you. So Ricky, look with me really quickly. Some of you, again, and not all of you need this. Some of you would want it though, and we've made it for you. The first trade was October 5th at 9:33. And you see, Ricky, how all the entries are 9:33, 9:42, 9:36, 9:42. It's a 15-minute window. And when we check those signals over a year in a 15-minute segment of trading per day, 1 or 2 trades a day, it looks like, right, Rick? After a year in the ES, 1 trade a day, it's up around $7,000 per contract. Now, that's a pretty good side hustle. My daughter started making bread for her friends in college. And Rohit, she charges $7 per loaf for her artisanal bread. $7 per loaf. If she sold 1 a day, 365 days, right? It starts to add up. Well, if you traded for 15 minutes a day with 1 contract, it was over 700 ticks net over the course of a year. Now, you'll notice that looks remarkably similar to the kinds of results that people are having in real life, right? When I showed you Jacob's entries and exits in his $250,000 qualification run, the thing that shouldn't happen, we shouldn't see a positive expectancy for signals that are days old. We shouldn't see a positive expectancy over a year for signals that are a day old, 2 days old, or more. So Aurora is helping us have trust in the signals. And you'll see down here, Dave, in the lower left corner, the statistics start to pop up. It's telling me what is the percentage of those entries and exits. 65% to the sell side, 71.4% to the buy side, with signals I knew about the day before. Oh, I got to wake up tomorrow. There's a signal at 9:33 and one at 9:43. That's my coffee break. I've been playing with it, and for those of you with the Aurora software, I'm going to schedule a training event at the end of this month. I went back and I started to notice some things. And Jacob, if you're listening, I thought this was pretty cool. I started testing other 15-minute windows for warp. I started testing other 15-minute windows for warp. And here you'll see, Thomas, that I've added 11:30 to 11:45 and 3:45 to 4 o'clock. The first 15 minutes of the day, the last 15 minutes of the day, and Ricky, the 15 minutes right before lunch. Those are pretty scary times, aren't they? How many of you woke up this morning and said, I can't wait to trade the open and the close today? And just before lunch? None of us. But Ricky, when I added those 2 windows to the Aurora output, you can see here something really interesting happens. Just looking at 9:30 to 9:45 stopped us out right there. That was the window after a year. If we added 2 other windows, instead of 15 minutes a day to 45 minutes a day, it took us from 700 almost to 1400. We finish out around 1300 ticks. So adding 2 more 15-minute windows almost doubles us. And that's the kind of power that the plugin for Warp affords you. So if you're the kind of customer who says, I need to know what this is doing over time, I need to know what my best settings are, what times of day are the best times of day to trade, and I need entries and exits on my screen. I don't want to have to think. I don't want any discretion. There's a plugin available for Warp, but you need Warp to start with this. None of this should work. None of these signals should work, especially not after a year. Ricky, you can see here if I go all the way up, October 5th, 2021, 9:33. Now, September 15th, 9:36. That's crazy. That's absolutely bananas. I think it's bananas. And so Aurora is a great way to give us confidence about the signals that we're looking at here today. So if we're looking at the NASDAQ on a 1-minute chart, I know because of Aurora's backtesting ability that I can have confidence in those signals the last 60 days, the last 180 days, the last year. It's consistent because banks cheat. Any questions about how Warp is working proactively to tell us in advance when the next signals are coming? So while we've been sitting here after the close, just to reiterate as I tell you how you can get this, we were waiting for a move down at 409, a move up at 449, and now it's starting to roll over again at 457. It's happening even after the market closes. And we're the only company telling you when the banks are going to cheat again: 616, 631, 637, 604. It's a map. It's a map. Thomas, that will never be a Black Friday thing, and we're probably only going to limit it to 20 people when it does come out. If that equity curve was any indication of what's coming, that's one setup of 5 that we're releasing. I don't expect that to be available for very long, and never for that as a sale. No. Warp and Aurora allow us to determine over time, does the tool, in theory, hypothetically, make money over time? And today I've shown you a few examples of someone's actual experience qualifying for a $250,000 account. I've shown you an actual example of what that market is doing in real time using signals from earlier in the week. We're keeping track of what the ES actually did today. I looked at what those signals were doing in the NASDAQ, and we're seeing that if we just apply basic rules to those signals, that we seem to have found something that the banks don't want us to know. And some of you are saying, hey, I just need $200 a day. I just need $100 a day. Yeah, you can go to the website, Alpha, and it's on the page. Click on the link, and there's several videos there discussing how it works. It's an incredible platform. For those of you that are struggling to get ahead and you want to know why, here's the truth of it all. The world is a dark place filled with cheaters who talk out of both sides of their mouths, and their only purpose is to take money from your account and put it into theirs. That's what I've learned with this tool over 13 years, 3,000 customers, and a 4.9 out of 5 Trustpilot rating. This works because the world is broken. It's not fair. It's not. I have a great way to describe what's actually happening. Why does Aurora work? Why does Warp work at all? because people are cheating. The dice have weights in them. The house has a stacked deck. You are not playing on a level field, no matter how big your computer is. I've met neurosurgeons, oncologists, pilots who fly the largest jets in the fleet, people in the military, doctors, entrepreneurs, professors in universities. I've met people who are repair people for appliances, people who own multiple dry cleaning entrepreneurs, dry cleaning stores, woodworkers, retirees. No one can say I was smart enough to figure this out. They were all struggling because they believed they could apply the rules from regular life to trading. Work hard, pay attention, get control of your emotions, write it down in a journal, blah, 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 blah. No. 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 This is what I knew. My dad told me when I was 13, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And here's who I know. I know Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan. I know Warren Buffett. I know that Elon Musk sends out a tweet right before the stock goes up or down. How do you get to be the richest man in the world? You make a rocket that puts satellites in space for the US military and manipulate the price of your stock because the government won't do anything because they need military satellites in space. You tell your buddies, I'm about to say blah, 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 blah. We're getting financing, taking it private, 420, yada, yada, yada. Twitter, yeah. Never goes to jail, never gets fined. You and I did that, we would go to jail. They would take our account away. You'd have to pay a huge fine. Those with the gold rule. That's the truth. And here's what I believe. You win battles by knowing when the people who are cheating are about to cheat. And when they're not about to cheat, you don't do anything, you wait. It's like that show, Peaky Blinders. They knew which horse was going to win the race. Alpha, they gave a horse cocaine right before the race. That one's going to win. They'd sedate another horse. That one's going to lose. And they would tell all their friends which horse was going to win, and everyone else would bet on the other ones. That's what Warp does. It tells you which horse to watch for in advance and be ready. And be ready. Good session. Good session. Good questions today, by the way. Thank you guys for that. You kept me on my toes. If you would like to get this for yourself, if you want to join the ranks of people like Jacob who come here and teach us the methods they're using to qualify for their accounts, if you want to see the kinds of results that other customers are experiencing, let me tell you how you can get started. On our website, as I've mentioned a few moments ago, there are a host of products, but everyone starts with Warp. Warp is our flagship product. So right here is the Warp product. If you're an existing customer and you want to go a little deeper with Aurora, there's information about that. Simply log in and click on the Learn More button like Alpha's doing right now. But for those of you that are starting out with us, you need to begin with the Warp package. You don't need any of the other things. If you're a confirmation trader or you just want a basic entry-exit system that's predictive, this is all you need to get started. So inside of the GoToWebinar chat box, you guys should see a link from me. Let me know if that link comes through, Thomas, would you? It should say backtothefuturetrading.com, TachEon, TimeWarp. Sweet. At the very bottom of that page is a buy now link. Now, if you want to click on the Buy Now button, you'll see that pop-up shows up. We have a class that meets for traders 8 to 12 Eastern, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week. It's run by a customer who's had the software close to 10 years now. So we try to put customers in positions to show you how they're doing it. It's not enough that I know how to do it and I can use it. I want you to know that we can teach other people how to use it. So you get to meet people like Jacob and Colin in the live room. Those of you who are Force customers, you're now working with Juan, who's a Force customer now for almost 5 years. We want you to have access to customers who've heard what you heard here today, took it, understood it, and put it to use. If you want to see those entries live in real-time market conditions, go ahead and add that to your cart with a 25% discount. If you don't want it, you don't need it. No worries. Go to the purchase agreement. We'll promise to take care of it. If you promise not to use foul language in your emails to us when you're upset about something, and then you agree to the terms and conditions by clicking that button right there. I'm going to give you a promo code because the people in marketing said that's what I'm supposed to do. So with the promo code WARPOFF, WARPOFF, it takes $500 off of the price. Remember, today, in one day of the E-mini S&P, I showed you using those signals a net of about $1,000. I have to tell you that's a theoretical, hypothetical net. In the NQ, Ricky, it was over 100 ticks when the day was done, about $2,000 per contract in the NASDAQ in one day. So bear that in mind. You're going to get 2 computer licenses. You're going to get lifetime updates on Warp. You're going to get free installation. We'll call it white glove because Rachel is amazing, our associate who gets you started. She's incredible. You're going to get support. You're going to get access to the video training archive. So all the lessons you need to know and learn are available 24/7. You'll have access to that as we update it. We've been putting stuff in there for 13 years, so it's pretty incredible. We are an American company. Woo! Hashtag America. And we also want you to know that you have our undying gratitude. We worked very hard to get our 4.9 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot, and we take that very seriously. So you're going to have the full weight and support of our company behind you if you decide to work with us here today. You also have access to pro staffers, customers who are actually trading with the system. They're available for consultation. For those of you that want to work with Jacob one-on-one, you can ask him or me or David more about that. He does have office hours. We also have availability with other traders, including Tim, who down in Missouri uses it for longer term swing trades in his retirement account, as well as larger position trades during the day. All sorts of resources you can have access to. And then I just want you to know that there's a path. There's a starting point for basics. Warp is going to get you where you want to go. And then we can always have things like Aurora as an add-on. If you're a customer with us for a while and you want to take your success with us even deeper and further, we can build those studies in, and I'm going to have a class towards the middle of next week about that if you want to learn more. You don't need it, but it's a way to hone your edge and go even deeper with a tool that's exceptional, in my opinion. Any questions about that? So put the code WARPOFF, WARPOFF in there, and you guys will be all set and ready to go. If you get a phone call from our representative, his name's David Kern, do me a favor, answer the phone, hear what he's got to say. Dave specializes in helping people onboard with the software. You might get an email from him or a phone call. He's going to try to touch base with you and figure out what it is you want and need and what you're looking for. He may even bring me into the conversation if you have a question he can't answer. Do me a favor, just answer, hear what he's got to say, and I promise you he'll help you figure out a way to get on board with this so that you can experience these same type of results with your setup and with your signals. All right. Thank you, Jacob, for sharing your success with us. 250K account. That's pretty unbelievable. You're doing a great job. For the rest of you with your testimonials, thank you for sharing that with me. And for those of you that are here today just checking us out, I appreciate you and thank you for your support. It was great hanging out with you this afternoon. I am back working through my health issues, and appreciation to everyone who's supporting me and letting me work through that stuff. I really do. Thank you for that. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine upon your face. May the valleys rise up to meet you and the mountains lay low before you on your journey. I sincerely wish you peace, prosperity, health, all the things you want for yourself. May they come to you in spades, multiplied 10, 100 times over. This life is short. Warp is going to tell you when to be at your computer and when to walk away and live the rest of your life. Don't be chained to your PC or your Mac, wondering if the arrow is going to pop up soon. Don't be chained to your laptop, wondering if the all-knowing guru is going to say something next. Get at your computer, take your trade, whether it's 15 minutes a day or all session. Warp will tell you when and when not to be at your PC. I think that's the best part. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Luke, Lilburn, Rohit, Chris, Earl, thank you very much. Lowell, have a great day. We'll see you guys soon. Welcome on board.